In life, our habits define us. May I have a word with those of you that are leaders or those of you that would like to become leaders? Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate and lead and inspire. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the major habits of all of these successful leaders that I have known, that have been my mentors, that I've worked with personally. And I was inspired to write this because I read an article by a gentleman named Jared Acheson. That was an outstanding article, and I'm just going to cover like 3 things that are important as far as leadership are concerned. And one of the habits that all leaders have that are worthy of emulating is that they're all readers. They're all readers. Why is it important to be a reader? I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it's important to be a reader. First of all, one of the things that's critical as a leader is that you be innovative. Or let's use a different word. How about if we say that you're creative? Now, let's take a look at the word creative. Are we really ever creating anything? I mean, anything that is ever going to be on this planet is already here. There's nothing new that's going to be created. So what is creativity? Steve Jobs kind of gives us a good answer, and I quote, "Creativity is just connecting things." When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. It seemed obvious to them after a while. Creativity is connecting the dots. It's taking things that you know and connecting the dots. Now, how does this relate to reading? Well, obviously, the more you read, the more dots you possess. And the more dots that you possess gives you more options. And remember the creative process. You know, you try and think logically, all right? And sometimes you run into a roadblock there, and then you say to yourself, I'm going to need some help. And you look to the infinite mind, the infinite partner to help you out. And you do that by sending the vibe out there of the final outcome that you want to achieve. And in so doing, what the infinite partner does, it takes all of the things that you have come in contact with and magically, in many cases, will put them together in a paradigm you hadn't thought of, in a direction, an angle that you hadn't thought of, and you come up with a solution. But in order to do that, you have to have some sort of volume of dots, of things, of information that can effectively be put together in the first place. So as a reader, you're constantly giving yourself more and more information. Now, you may not remember that on a day-to-day basis, but your subconscious does, and your subconscious has the ability to extract that thought that's been buried somewhere in your brain, bring it to the front, connect it, and help you to come to a solution. So reading gives leaders knowledge of the dots they need to come up with new ideas and approaches to make their businesses better. Does that make sense? All right, let's move on to the next point. The next point about reading is when you read books, what you're doing is you're getting the concise success story of the author. In other words, the author has gone through trial and error here, trial and error here. This worked okay, this worked unbelievably well, this didn't work at all. So what you're doing is when you're reading books, you're getting the benefit of the experience of the author. And none of us has enough time on this planet to do everything ourselves. So if you can shortcut something through the experiences of another person, then that is a critical element to help you to be smart, all right? No other way to say it, to be smart, because someone else has experienced what it is that you're going through. It's a powerful way to gain a lifetime's worth of knowledge in a short time, especially now since there's so many books written by highly experienced business people, professionals, and others who have decades of knowledge in their field. The depth of the information you can get expanding your understanding of other people and businesses is going to help you achieve what you really want to do. The third reason for reading that's critical for leaders, and I want to point out to you that all of the leaders that I've known that I put on my like Mount Rushmore of leaderships, in the Eli's Dad Mount Rushmore of leaders, you know, the first person, of course, as you've heard me mention before, Bob Anderson, who was not a college graduate, right? He was not a highly, quote-unquote, educated person, book person. However, he was a voracious reader and would always come up with ideas that he stole from these authors and would relate them to the business that we were working in together. And that's true of Bob Anderson, Jeff Waspy, Morton Utnick, all of the people. Dan Less was another person that I worked with. I mean, all of these people that were great achievers, that were mentors to me, all of them were voracious readers. Third reason is when you're reading, you are able, and especially different books, not just books in your field, but different books, fiction books, all right? When you're reading those, you get a different perspective on life. You get how other people feel about a situation. You start to get some empathy for you feel as they feel. And when you do that, then you're able to see things from a different angle, a different paradigm. And when you're dealing with other people, being able to put yourself in their shoes is a most useful tool as far as motivating them. Can you see that? All right, if I can, you know, one of the things that I hear from you, Eli, is, yeah, Dad, but you're 9 million years old, you can't feel what I'm feeling, all right? You may not say it exactly that way, or you may say it exactly that way, but the point is, yes, I can. I've gone through similar experiences. Maybe the technology was different, but the feelings were the same. Does that make sense? So going through life, and you want to add different people's life experiences to your repertoire, to your resume, so that when you're working with a Generation Y, Generation X, a millennial, I understand we have a Generation Z. You know, I'm trying to catch up here, all right? When you're working with people, it's important to understand what makes them tick. And by reading from a wide variety of topics, that will help you to be able to understand how other people think, how put yourself in their shoes and understand their motivations, and therefore help you to be a motivator. So, big lesson today, leaders are readers. I'm not the first one to say that, but I want to point that out to you, how important it is for those three reasons. And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, go grab a book, get out there and read, and charge! I'm Eli's Dad.